Not long ago, these things were everywhere in American life, so common you barely noticed them. Today, they feel almost foreign. Not banned, not illegal, just quietly fading away. This is a look at 10 everyday American norms that vanished without an announcement, and what their disappearance says about life now. 1. Owning a home on a single income. For decades, this was the American baseline. One job, one paycheck, a modest house, a family. In the 1950s through the 1980s, a single income, often without a college degree, could support a household. Factory workers, postal employees, salesmen, and teachers regularly bought homes, raised children, and retired with stability. Mortgages were smaller relative to income, and housing wasn't treated like a speculative asset. Today, that reality is almost gone. In most U.S. cities, even dual-income households struggle to qualify for homes. Down payments have ballooned. Property taxes and insurance keep climbing. Investors compete with families, often paying cash. Renting has become permanent for millions who once assumed ownership was inevitable. Homeownership hasn't disappeared, but the idea that one normal job can buy one normal house has. 2. Knowing your neighbors well. There was a time when neighbors weren't strangers. People borrowed sugar, watched each other's kids, and knew who lived 3 doors down. Neighborhoods weren't just locations, they were social systems. Block parties, front porch conversations, and informal support networks were common, especially in suburban and small-town America. Now, many people don't know the names of those living next door. Remote work, long commutes, high turnover, and digital socializing have quietly hollowed out neighborhood life. People move more often. Apartments replace single-family homes. Interaction gets replaced by delivery apps and group chats. It's not that Americans are less friendly. It's that daily life no longer forces connection the way it once did. 3. Paying cash for major purchases. Buying something outright used to be normal. Cars, furniture, appliances, even medical bills. Credit existed, but it wasn't the default. People saved first, bought second, and debt carried social weight. Today, nearly everything is financed. Car loans stretch 6 to 8 years. Phones are paid monthly. Furniture comes with payment plans. Even groceries can be split into installments. Credit cards, BNPL services, and subscription billing have normalized permanent debt. Paying cash isn't rare because people don't want to. It's rare because prices have outpaced savings, and debt has been engineered to feel painless. 4. Staying at one job for decades. Long-term employment used to be expected. People joined companies young and retired from the mold. Loyalty was rewarded with pensions, raises, healthcare, and job security. Employers invested in workers because they planned to keep them. That system collapsed quietly. Pensions disappeared. Layoffs became routine. Job hopping became survival, not rebellion. Today, staying too long at one company often hurts earnings. Workers are expected to be flexible, mobile, and disposable while still showing loyalty. Career stability hasn't vanished, but lifetime employment has become an exception rather than a goal. 5. Paying for college without crippling debt. College once functioned as an investment with predictable returns. Public universities were affordable. Summer jobs could cover tuition. Graduates entered the workforce with degrees, not decades of repayment. Now, student debt is a defining feature of adulthood. Tuition has skyrocketed. Housing and fees inflate the cost further. Degrees no longer guarantee stable employment. Many borrowers carry loans into their 40s, delaying homeownership, marriage, and children. College still matters, but the idea that higher education leads smoothly to upward mobility has become increasingly fragile. 6. Letting kids roam freely. Children once disappeared outside after school and returned at dinner. They walked to friends' houses, rode bikes for miles, played unsupervised, and solved problems without adult oversight. This independence wasn't seen as neglect, it was childhood. Today, that freedom is rare. Concerns about safety, liability, and social judgment have reshaped parenting. Unsupervised play can trigger police calls. Schedules replace spontaneity. Screens replace streets. Ironically, actual crime rates for children have declined, but perceived risk has risen. Freedom faded not because danger increased, but because fear did. 7. One television shared by the whole family. Entertainment used to be communal. Families gathered around one TV. Shows aired at specific times. Missing an episode meant missing it forever. Television created shared moments and national conversations. Now, everyone has their own screen. Streaming, smartphones, and on-demand content fractured viewing habits. Algorithms replace schedules. Families watch separately, even when sitting together. Content has expanded, but shared cultural experiences have shrunk. 8. Shopping at small local stores. Local businesses once anchored communities. Hardware stores, bakeries, diners, bookstores, often family-owned for generations, were everyday fixtures. Owners knew customers by name. Money stayed local. Now, big-box retailers and online platforms dominate. Convenience won. Prices dropped. Selection exploded. But local stores struggled to compete with scale, logistics, and speed. Many disappeared quietly, replaced by warehouses and delivery trucks. What we gained in efficiency, we lost in familiarity. 9. Affordable healthcare without employer dependence. Healthcare didn't always feel this complicated. Costs were lower. Insurance mattered less. Employer coverage wasn't the only viable path to treatment. Today, healthcare is tightly tied to employment and extremely expensive without it. People stay in jobs they hate to keep insurance. Medical debt remains a leading cause of bankruptcy. Routine care gets delayed due to cost. A single emergency can derail financial stability. Healthcare still exists, but affordability and simplicity are increasingly rare. 10. Feeling optimistic about the future by default. This may be the biggest change of all. For much of the 20th century, Americans assumed life would improve. Each generation expected to do better than the last. Progress felt automatic. Now, optimism requires effort. Rising costs, economic instability, political division, climate anxiety, and constant negative news have reshaped expectations. Younger generations are more cautious, less trusting, and more risk-averse. Not because they're pessimistic by nature, but because evidence demands realism. Hope hasn't vanished, but it's no longer the default setting. Closing thought. None of these things disappeared overnight. They faded slowly, quietly, and without ceremony. That's what makes them powerful. Not because they're gone forever, but because remembering them forces a question. Which of today's normal things will feel rare tomorrow? And what does that say about where we're headed?